Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ellen. So we are painting seashells upon the seashore today. I recently went to Florida for my Naples watercolor workshop, and I went to Marco Island and I picked these wonderful conch shells. And if you knew how I got these, you would be laughing. I literally dove into the water at the edge where the waves are crashing to grab them because they're hard to get on the actual sand. It will be bleached out and kind of roughed out like this one. I teach you how to draw them and paint them, and yeah, it's really kind of simple. If you're a Patreon member, you get the traceable and extended vision, video. But I teach everyone here how to draw this and paint these wonderful shells. So much fun I didn't look at these patterns on this one. I didn't paint that, but it's really cool. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. This is really kind of fun, and I also will introduce you to a couple of new colors in this video. One is from Daniel Smith, Lunar Black, which is kind of cool granulated color, and holbein, cobalt turquoise light. So again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section, and let's get started. So like I said, I picked up a bunch of shells on my beach walk in Marco Island. Look at these mini conch shells. They're so cool, right? And they come in a variety of colors. There's like these beautiful pinkish tones, more brown, right? And even deeper brown, some light colors, some gray. There was some sand in here and some looks like barnacles trying to grow off of this. Then these like scallop type shells. One's like almost in a coral color. Then they have these little funky patterns on them, and they're like more of a magenta, and then more of a purplish brown, and then some gray with the purple, cream. Like, see how the patterns are really cool. Other ones like this, they have more yellow tone. And then I don't know the name of this. Someone told me the name of it in my Naples workshop. This particular shell is really kind of cool. It looks like a clamshell, but it's not a clamshell. I don't know what this is. It looks like a very pearlescence, right? And then this kind of funky one I found in Naples. Like the texture of this, it's very soft, even though it's spiky. And some more shells like that, little spikes on them. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a shell tutorial. Even though we're in April, we're not even near summer. But it was kind of fun to break it up and teach you how to draw it. Some simple shells, and then go into it. So if I'm drawing too fast, you can slow the video down. I'm just taking a basic, like, mechanical pencil here and drawing the shell. So to me, it's like take an object and break it down to simple shapes: squares, rectangles, triangles, etc. You get the kind of a triangle shape here, and then you have this kind of wiggled out shape here, and this kind of stacks like stairs. So I'll do a main shell here. So here we go. And I'll zoom in so you can see me drawing a little better. So kind of a curved V. So if you want to do the V, it's kind of a curved V, right, for this shell. And then go down and come back up. See, we have like a V, but it's curved on this side. And then you see the little spikes that come out. So you're just going to pull out a little spike there, a little spike here, a little spike there, a little spike there. And then it comes up, like on the shelf, like I was saying, and then you kind of like go up like a little shelf into the point. So it's kind of like stairs, going up down the stairs. And then we have this pull out little shape here. So, and that's the first conch. And these kind of like go in spirals like this. Don't be afraid to keep your pencil marks, which I did in some of my sketches that I showed on my workshop. And that's the first one. You can make one facing the other way. So this wouldn't be a V. Well, it'd be kind of a V, but more of like a rounded V. So it'd go like this. Again, the opposite way. But here we're going to wiggle, wiggle, pull up. Just make that part of that stepping. Here we go here. A little bumpy. So it's almost like you're building the triangle again up top. But there's little knobs, spiky little knobs, kind of pulling them out here. And then the patterns are all kind of cool. We'll paint those patterns. That's the one facing that way. Of course, we got to do a scallop with these funky patterns, right? So I think it's kind of a V shape also, but more of a big fat V with the little bumps, right? Maybe come down a little bit more. And then they have this little kind of bump out here and here. And that's your scallop. And then just, if you're going to make the little bumps, see, little teeny, bunch of little teeny bumps. Make the lines come down, all going towards this bottom center here. Kind of curve them this way and curve them this way, right? We'll do that again. Do one up here. So you could even say it's more of like a half circle or something, but if you just want to go like this, more of a round shape, and then from there make your little bumps, right? And then put that little bump out. But they all converge to that center area here, down at the bottom. So once you have this, maybe make this top part more defined. I'll go back in and erase that because it looked too bloppy, and I'll just put my little lines, my little scallop. Look at that. I actually want to paint this one this time. This is just, I wouldn't make it as big on this one, but I could just trace it. I don't know what kind of shell this is. There's a new color I want to play with besides just drawing the shells. I've been playing with different colors, and they're not just holbein. Oh my God. There's a Lunar Black from Daniel Smith. And I did get a new holbein, cobalt turquoise light. And I got a couple other Daniel Smith colors. Of course, I can't find them now that I'm looking for. And one was a permanent red and this hooker's green. And I can explain that to you why I got them. I'm just going to make this funky shell. So it's just kind of like this, kind of like a weird, funky teardrop. And mine might not look exactly like the shell we see here. Gotta fix the bottom. It's pearlescence, though. So you can play with some of your lovely metallic colors. So I think this is good for now, right? You can throw in some more shells. Maybe I'll do like a, I don't know, we could do like a baby, do like this clamshell here. Maybe I'll face it this way. I don't know. I think I'm going to keep it because I want to put shadows on these. All that good stuff. So there's the sketch. If you want to just take a picture, boop, then you'll have your sketch. Patreon members will get this sketch. If you're a Patreon member, you can just download the sketch. So now we're going to just go ahead and paint. So I did erase some of the lines just to make them a little more faint, so I don't want them so dark. I'm getting a number 12 Neptune series brush from Princeton. I like to use bigger brushes. I'm going to loosen up some burnt sienna and bright rose. If you have magenta, use that. Mixing bright rose and burnt sienna, you get this nice pinkish color, right? And even burnt umber, you can play around with that. So browns and pinks, play around with all the colors that you have, browns and pinks. Like I said, burnt umber, you can even use red. Look at that, you get these nice, that's like a nice pinky brown. I'll get the real brown in here. And burnt sienna is a great color for this particular shell. As you can see, it looks just like burnt sienna. So I'm just loosening up those colors to go. And what I start off with is I just get the area wet. You know, some of it. So I'll play around with loosening up the consistency. If you haven't followed any of my tutorials with the value scale, watercolor, because it's transparent and it's not like acrylic and oil, you have to go from light to dark. And the consistency, when I talk about tea, coffee, milk, cream, butter, it's consistency of the paint. So this is tea with a lot of water, so it's very, very light. Then it would get a little more pigment, would be coffee. little more pigment be milk, a little more pigment be cream, and butter, and so on. So the butter is like thick right out of the tube, like right there. And as you add water, you get that consistency. So if you hear me talk about that, that's what it is. Think about the actual product, coffee, tea, milk. So I'm just taking some of that and putting this light color. I'm dipping back into the water jar. And I'm just taking this brush, a big brush. This is how you go real fast, loose, see? Just kind of putting that color. I have a paper towel, I keep going back over here. I'm not touching the side yet. Just going to the bottom, filling it in, and leaving some white, you see that? And up here it's mostly white, but I'm gonna just throw in some color. Maybe mostly on the right side, and I'm just kind of wiggling my brush pretty quickly. Still very damp, and while it's damp, just see how I just got that one side. I can grab some thicker. Here we go with the consistency, right? This is like cream now. I'll add some pink to it. We can play with bleeding some of the paint, like right there. See? See how it's thick? It's not as moving as much. I'm just going to move this paint around a little bit. I can grab some pink mixed in with here. I have pinks mixed in with the browns. Even though this is more burnt sienna, we can play around with that. Get some more burnt sienna, consistency. Just kind of playing with this. You don't have to follow the shell. There's no shell police, you know, the colors to the T. I'm adding in some more depth with this. See, I just kind of tapped in this thicker burnt sienna. I'm going to grab some pink in there. You could even add some burnt umber. Come down here. And it already has the look that we're going for, just by bleeding that in right there. Isn't that cool? It just took 2 seconds. I would add a little bit more color kind of coming out this way, so it makes them a little more 3D, some darker tones. Remember I talked about this lamp black color? It's really kind of cool granulating color. So I might throw a little bit of that in here. Just tap it in. See, I'm just tippy tapping. Down the bottom it looks like it has a little gray, so I'll put that lamp black down in here. Already you see the shape, right? Now you can play around with other colors just besides these colors I mentioned. I might take some ultramarine blue, water it down. I could even mix it with the burnt sienna. I'll leave it alone and play with just adding some of that. Obviously blue and burnt sienna make the gray, but if I kind of just don't touch the burnt sienna and just have blue, we can put some blue shadows in here. Just see how I'm just lightly tapping, little teeny taps, very watered down, diluted blue color, mostly on the right side, but doing a few here and there on the left side. And we have our cool shell. Again, you'll see the nuances of pinks, and I'll add some pink in here. Still, there's some lovely burnt sienna color. Just doing a little teeny taps, going up that little area. And you see like almost like little dots. Sweet, isn't it? And tap a little bit on the side, even though you don't really see it on the side. I'm going to put it on there just so it balances it. Some of these areas, like the tip of these are white. If you paint it over this, like I'm doing here, and you want to remove, you want to make that white, take a stiffer brush. I'm going to grab my Princeton 8 long round. Excuse me while I'm making tons of noise. I'll do some lifting. So you put some little water on your brush, wiggle, lift, or a stiffer brush if you want that white tip. I don't mind that it's not completely there. So that's kind of drying. Before you do this side, you want to wait till that kind of dries so it doesn't bleed so much. But we can go back in here. Now you see in here on this side a little bit of lighter color, and then we got that dark tone. So we can take, you might want to wait till it dries to go this side so it doesn't bleed. But I'm going to be careful just to leave a little white in between the two. Even with this big brush, you can do it. You see how I have a tinge of this like pinky brown color? And then we can take that burnt sienna, the pink. It looks more of a pinky color, right? Kind of bleed that. Look at that. Ooh. Look at that. And then you manipulate it. So it's bleeding like this. Clean up my brush and just kind of move the paint, blending it, and then pushing it on the edge. But the real thick part of it is already in there. And then I'll grab some burnt umber, that lunar black. You can see some brown happening down here, brown black. Just, again, tapping the color. But really, that took 2 seconds, I think, for a cute little shell like this, little conch shell. And I'm going to do some more of my own embellishment, artistic. I feel like it needs to have more color up here. You can change it. I'll make those spikes a little bit darker, however you want. But that is how I would just go about painting something like this. Really simple. Water this down a little bit. Fill in some color for my seashell. And then here too, like you can just add some more brown, or if you wanted to do that, more pink. Could add pinky brown. Get a little bit deeper still. Kind of connect it here. Boom. This one almost looks like, should be a little bit darker. See, it really has a nice hard edge line here, so I might go back in and later on when it's dry and kind of fill that in like how it looks in the shell. Instead of bleeding like that, right? All these things you can do. Play around with this a little bit more, and boom. So we're going to concentrate next on the scallop shell. For this one, you know, I think the colors look more like rose mixed with burnt umber, which I did here. Get a little brown. I could still stick with this brush, or I could change the brush. I might add just a smaller, stiffer brush for little teeny areas, which I never really use tiny brushes, but I might play with the 4 round from Velvet Touch series from Princeton. But really, just grab like a slight, see how like minimal you can, but you can't even see the color of paint here. And I'm just gonna fill in just to get it wet. It has a pink tinge to it. Can leave some of the parts white. And even up on the edge, right? I can still use this brush. I have a great tip at this point. And I've mixed in bright rose and burnt umber here to get this color. I can grab more burnt umber, maybe some lamp black, and make it even darker, deeper. We'll just have to, while this is wet, play with just tapping in, that's more brown, the pink in the pattern that you kind of see. Get this a little bit looser. See, this was not wet enough. I'm going to have to get this a little bit more wet. Not bleeding like I want to. I can kind of erase it. See, look at that. Okay, now it's wetter. And now I'll take this and I'll just kind of tap some of the patterns that you see in the scallop shell. Don't use a lot. Use minimal paint here. Now, if you're saying, oh, Ellen's crazy with this big brush, but it's really kind of fun to play with a big brush. Kind of have these nuances of different colors we're playing in here. And I'll just kind of manipulate the color down here, wet on dry down this way. Even with this big brush, you'd be surprised what you can do. So it's kind of really just bleeding and blending at this point. You will have to wait for it to dry a bit and then go back in, and then you can add some nice deeper patterns. Or you can make it thicker paint. So here I have the bright rose and the burnt umber, a little more pinky brown, and the small brush that I talked about. And I'm just going to go on some of these lines with a thicker paint, and it won't move as much. And I can make them wiggles, squiggles, and it kind of looks just like it does on the shell. And I'll take some little darker brown ones and tap in those. And you know, doesn't have to match this perfectly. It's kind of fun, right? Tap. I think it came out almost like it. There's more of a white streak in the middle in this one, but see how simple that was? If you want to play around with like putting in a little bit of shadow lines when this dries. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'll take some, clean up my brush, ultramarine blue, water that down, put some right in here, even with some burnt sienna. So it's more of a gray blue for shadow down here. Just simple nuances of that. If you can see that up close, you see, you add the blue, the gray, just like kind of right down here. And then you have the shadow. All right, we're going to move on pretty quickly to some other ones. This one is a blue-gray, black. I decided to make it this one. And then we have that pearlescent one. And this one can just be a continuation of this. This one has all kinds of colors, browns, blues, purples. You just can start off whatever way you want to do it. So I'll just go lightly wet some burnt umber. I'll go in here real quickly. Wetting the color. Going up in here. I'll even go up some like ultramarine blue. And some burnt umber up here again. Burnt sienna. Tapping, tapping, color. Tapping, tapping, color. This one's a little bit more white up here, so maybe I'll loosen that. Just kind of filling it in. I'll fix it in a second. I do want this to be more grayish black. So I'm going to play with that lunar black color that I have. Okay. And I have this lovely cobalt turquoise. Let's just throw in an unexpected color. Cobalt turquoise light. It looks so bright. And I mix it with the lunar black. Ooh, you got some funky stuff happening here. And no, it's not in the shell, but it will create some really cool granulated coloring, which I'm really into. And I'll get the lamp back and I'll add more of that. Wow. Really cool. For the granulated color, it's a little darker on this side. Playing with this color, lamp black, watered down. Grab some burnt umber in here. You have this wonderful granulated color with the turquoise and the black. It's just really kind of cool. Even though the shell is more brown black, I just wanted to play with it. That's another thing. Don't feel like you have to keep it exactly how you see it. Play around with the colors. So here I am doing that, just that. Right, a little bit darker here. And this lamp black is really kind of cool. Playing with that. So yeah, you're like, wait, Ellen's going crazy. And I'm adding some ultramarine blue. It's just a funky colorization happening there. And just do little touches up here. See, I'm just tippy tapping. You know I love my tips. And move it around. There's some pinks up there. There's some blues. I'm just kind of finagling this. And I'll wait till it dries and add some more shadows. While I have that wonderful lamp black and the turquoise, we'll do this like pearlescent one. We can play with just putting the turquoise. There's so many colors in here. There's like turquoise and gray, and I'm just going to put that turquoise in real quick. It's already got brown and black mixed into that turquoise, so it's not as it right out of the tube. Here's the color right out of the tube. I'll just throw this in. I'm still using the 12. I did use it at 4 for a split second, right? And now I'm going to grab just a little bit of that lamp black and play with adding. Look at that. It's so cool. Just going to go real quick. Throw in some lines. Maybe make it a little bit deeper and darker, a little more paint on this side. Get that pearlescence kind of thing happening. A little bit more dots you see in this one. Coming down here. Just kind of cool and fun, right? That was fun. There's like a lot of blues and there's some purples in there. So maybe I'll take some ultramarine blue with some bright rose and make a purple. And put some of that color in there too. It's like rainbow. I'm just tapping a little bit of that purple in. Really cool. It's fun to play with new colors. Just see, I just use a minimal paint. You don't really use a lot of paint in this one. I'm going to go back in and add some little more turquoise. Blew it up. And some more lamp black. Just really kind of fun. Darker here. Little taps there. Darker up there. That came out pretty cool. I really enjoy that. And then whatever you want for the last scallop shell. Just play whatever you want. There was that gray pink, so I might go ahead and use this gray again, which is the lamp black. Just kind of fill this scallop in. And then I'll add the pink. So it's pretty wet. And it's doing its granulation thing. Still using the 12, but I'm going to switch. It's very, very wet. Lifting some of the paint up. And we mix the bright rose. Oh, that's looking too purpley now. With the bright umber. You get that nice deep pinky brown color. And even, see with the gray, you can play with just tapping that color in. Going up and down. Some lines. Still doing its bleeding thing. And the lamp black, I'll play with adding some more of that. Now see how my brush is going like this with the lines that we do? With the lamp black. Could even add some of the turquoise. Why not? I see a little bit of turquoise actually in this shell. Manipulating the paint. With that turquoise and the lamp black. Get that shell. Okay. Once you've finished all your shells, we can do something fun by adding a shadow on the side. For a simple shadow, I'll just take ultramarine blue and burnt sienna, more blue than burnt sienna, make a nice bluish gray kind of color. And you figure, I'm trying to see the shadow of this one. If you can kind of see, it's kind of like from here. Go out here, it goes down like this, and then you have another one, oops, kind of out here and a little bit down here. Just tap and use ultramarine blue. It's like a nice deep shadow. Now I have a little mark right there. If that ever happens to you, and I talk about this all the time, you got to move quickly. Get it wet, wet it, wet it, wet it, paper towel real quick, and lift it. And it's gone like it never happened. So you wouldn't outline the whole entire thing. You only see shadows in certain places. So really trying to like figure out where that would be, right? For this guy, I'm only seeing it kind of close to the shell because it's not casting a big shadow, but it's kind of casting one down here. So I'll mix up my colors again. And I see it casting down here. Just like this. A little bit in here. A little bit here. And then this guy, depending on your light source, because obviously it's coming this way. And I see it mostly from, again, same thing like this one, coming out. I'm just kind of going like this. A little more smoother than that. My line was a little jagged. It could be jagged though. And then from this little area here and up here. And the scallop shell, similar. It's not going to have a big cast, but you can play with that. I would start from the center here and come down. Maybe make it a little bit darker. Less water, more paint. See, much darker cast shadow. Like that one is too light. I'll make this one a bit darker. And then this guy up here, kind of similar, but here and here. And that's it. That's shells. Play around with the tapping in the color, mixing colors, play with some new colors. I hope this was fun. If you're a Patreon member, you can stick around for a more extended version where I'm going into more detail. But I think everyone has the gist of it. So I hope you enjoyed painting seashells by the seashore that I've collected and mixing some new paints, lunar black and this lovely cobalt turquoise. So one's from Daniel Smith, one's from Holbein. Really kind of fun, play with new colors and new things. So thank you guys for stopping by. If you like my videos, you enjoy what I do, consider becoming a patron. You can join and cancel anytime. We have extended videos, extra videos, exclusive videos. The exclusive ones are way longer and more extent than YouTube. Real detailed, like, you know, longer, like an hour. And you get first dibs on watercolor workshops and retreats and stuff like that. And we have a Facebook group. And it's really where you support my channel here on YouTube. That gives YouTube's free content and supporting my channel, which I really appreciate. So you can click the link in the description and find out more about it if you haven't. And you can, like I said, you can join and cancel anytime. So, you know, it's great. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. Take care and have a great day, and I'll speak to you soon.